I wanted to take just a few minutes here, and talk about MIG welding technique when you're doing difficult welds. I think the most difficult weld to do is a butt weld on a piece of sheet metal. And I've made a few videos welding patches into cars and things like that. And I've made a couple other videos welding on the bench. And what's interesting is, of all the videos I have, one of the ones that gets my top views is one of the first videos I made, which was on MIG welding technique. And I sort of covered some things in that video, but I thought it would be worth another look at just straight up how you deal with the difficult situation of butt welding sheet metal. So I may have to do this in a couple different clicks. It just depends on how well focused I can be. What I tried to do was take a difficult situation here, and these are welds that I did previously. This was another piece to another thing, but I took just two pieces of scrap and I made a kind of a funny line here just to make it difficult to weld. And I didn't cut the line particularly straight, so the gap's nice, and then it widens out and widens out even more when we put all this together. There, you can see it a little bit better. So this is not going to be easy to weld. I'm using a 110 volt Hobart handler and CO2 right there, C25. And I really prefer the 110 units. The 210s will do just fine, but the 110s, as far as the millers are concerned anyway, just seem like they have a softer weld. I don't know how to explain it. It's just feel. I've done a bunch of welding in my life, and I'm not really dressed to weld, but I wanted to make this video, so please excuse the sweatshirt. I would normally have a welding shirt on, but I wanted to show you guys how this is done. I did not make this. I've seen a lot of videos out there that show this perfectly sheared edge, you know, and welding two perfectly sheared edges together really is very, very easy. But when you get these kind of hand cut things here, it becomes more difficult. And I don't have a heat sink behind here or anything else, but what I do have is a body dolly. I use this all the time with a copper sheet just kind of pounded over it. You can hold this behind your welds and weld to it if you get to a particularly difficult spot. We're not going to use that tonight, so basically that'll just make things easier for you later in life. I am going to wear my auto darkening helmet here, and away we go. So I'm going to start where this clamp is, and you know, I suggest whatever you're doing, always clamp your work. It just makes things better. We're going to put a weld right by the clamp. And if you were looking at this, you could see the back part of that weld eroded just a little bit. And so the next thing I'm going to do is probably closer to what you guys would do at home, where you can't get a clamp in the middle of a panel. I'm going to lift this up so it's not touching anything. Hope I don't knock my camera over here. Hang on, guys. So there's a nice little weld right there. You constantly want to take a look at whether or not these surfaces are parallel, and if they're not, you take a hammer and you make them so, because if you weld them and they're uneven, they'll just continue to be uneven. The other thing to keep in mind, and this is a huge deal, is the distance of your MIG gun to the work. The further away you get, the less heat you have. So if I have a really difficult spot, let's come out here where there's a big gap, and I'll show you what I mean. Can you guys see that? Is that in there? Let me see if I can lift this up just a little bit. Hang on, guys. Put my clamp on my work here. I'll try and lift this up so you guys can see. You know, we're a substantially large hole right here. In order to fill that hole, if you hold your gun back, and I'm going to try and weld here. That's how you make it happen right there. So yeah, you guys can see we bridged that gap. So you hold your gun back a little further from your workpiece. I hope you guys can see that. Let's try it this way. So there we go. That's how I would do that. It's not the prettiest thing when you get these big gaps, but if you have them, that's how you go about getting to them. The other thing is, once you establish a bridge across here, that's the spot that you aim at, so that you're hitting the thickest part of the metal. You know, wherever you weld is going to be the thickest part of the metal. Now we can pick up on this where the metal's nice and tight, and you'll notice how easy it is to weld that. Watch. And you'll notice I'm just stacking one on top of the next on top of the next. Those are fairly flat there, they're not stacking way up. I hope you guys can sort of perceive that. But that's how you butt weld on sheet metal. It's sort of a, you know, a rhythm. You can hear that. You zap, wait, zap, wait. So the different things you can look at is how straight your gun is to the work. That makes it hotter. The more angle you get on there, the cooler that weld. And the further you get away, the cooler it is. So it's sort of like you spread out the intensity the more angle you get. I'll bet if we go straight in, I can melt right through that. Let's see. Can you guys see that hole through there? So that's what happens when you weld straight on. So a lot of people get really discouraged because, you know, you look at all the pictures of MIG welding and it always shows this gun pointed right into the thing. You just go like this and I'll bet we can fill it up. Oops. Hey, check that out. Got a little bonus there. So yeah, so there's how you fix your problems. When you get stuck in a hole like that, just tilt your gun down and point at the thick spots. So hopefully that's been helpful for everybody. That's how you butt weld. This is I think 20 gauge sheet metal, so it's pretty thin. This is pretty indicative of what you find on a lot of cars, 18 to 20 gauge sheet metal. So yeah, have fun with that, guys.